Hey everybody, what's good? What's going on? JB here, back with another CyberInsight live stream. Still knocking down the last few remaining Advent of Cyber rooms from TryHackMe, since I kind of missed out on doing those a little bit over the Christmas break. So wanted to come back in with day 23, which looks to be something a little bit about trying to analyze some different types of Windows logs, maybe trying to recreate some of the artifacts or things that are being sent back and forth with the Grinch and them all doing their mischievous stuff. And I think this room is also going to be tied a little bit together with looking at specifically PowerShell logs. So it should be kind of interesting, especially if you haven't had any background in Windows logs or PowerShell type of stuff. It's a nice little entry level what do I want to say? Entry level room, taking a look at that stuff. So, all right, let's hop over into the browser. As always, if you have any questions as we kind of move through all this stuff, just drop it in the chat window and we will hit it up as we go through it. So let's see. This one does have a machine that you need to spin up. So just make sure before you start it off, you hit the little green button there, and that will get that started for you. So let's see what they say is going on here. PowerShElLF magic. So another blue team challenge here. So one of the administrators with access to the ELF Dome defense system realized that his password file was missing from his desktop. Not good to have password files on your desktop. Without the password, he will not be able to log into the mission control panel. McSkitty suspects that perhaps one of the previous phishing attempts was successful. McSkitty jumps into action. So you need to inspect the event logs to determine what has occurred and see if you can retrieve the password from the deleted text file. Again, don't be actually putting passwords in text files. That's not a good practice. But as we've seen through all these rooms, the elves don't really have great cyber hygiene. So what can you do? All right, so learning objectives, what are we going to be looking at here? Analyzing Windows event logs to understand the actions that were performed in the attack. We're going to be trying to recover some key artifacts from unencrypted web communications, and then utilize PowerShell scripting to recover a deleted artifact. So as I mentioned, PowerShell, if you haven't had any experience with that, this is kind of a cool little way to get a little bit familiar with it. PowerShell comes baked into the Windows operating system. So it's very powerful. It allows you to do a whole bunch of different types of administrative tasks. But the kind of downside or challenge with that is because it has the ability to do all these things, it's an easy way for malicious actors to be able to leverage tool sets that are already on Windows machines to try and do bad stuff. So one of the things, I don't know if they're really going to talk about it in here, and I think they do maybe a little bit lower, is you want to make sure that you are logging PowerShell activity. So that's a great first step in your environment, is to make sure that you're at least able to log all the different stuff that's happening with PowerShell. And then based off of that, you can end up developing different types of signatures to be able to alert on different types of activities that might be a little bit suspect when it comes to what would normal PowerShell activity be in your environment compared to stuff that maybe somebody who is up to no good would be doing. Hey Jerry, see your comment coming through here. Can I start the Advent of Cyber from day one today? Yep, most definitely. And it's free, and it covers a whole bunch of different types of topics. I mean, even if we just scroll up real quick, since you asked a question. So, I mean, it goes into web exploitation stuff, networking, some OSINT, some cloud stuff, Blue Team. It's all free. Yeah, so there's no reason why you can't go and start it now. I mean, the only thing is you won't be eligible for any of the prizes that they gave out around Christmas time. But as far as kind of getting a little taste of a whole bunch of different avenues in cybersecurity, it's pretty cool, especially because of the fact that it's free and you can just kind of do it from your computer. So, yep, definitely hop into that if you want to. All right, so let's see where we're talking about here. The official definition of PowerShell by Microsoft: PowerShell is a cross-platform task automation solution made up of command line shell, a scripting language, and configuration management framework. And PowerShell runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. As defenders, we can audit commands in PowerShell console on each workstation. It's kind of what I was saying. You want to make sure that you have that enabled. When a PowerShell command or script is run, the activity is logged in the Windows event log system. If you aren't familiar with the Windows event logs, I think I actually have another lab that we did just on Windows event logs. You're going to end up having a whole bunch of stuff coming in to different types of log groups. So that can kind of be a little bit tough when you're kind of cycling through that. So I think actually in this room, they actually have a tool that kind of helps combine that. Yeah, we're using something called a full event log view. You'll see that here in a minute. It kind of makes things a little bit easier to kind of peruse through all those different logs. Many event logs are generated in the Windows system, but the logs we care about are specific to PowerShell. Event logs are categorized by providers such as Microsoft, Windows, PowerShell. Each provider has specific event IDs to identify particular events or actions that occurred on the workstation. In this case, since we're doing or care about Microsoft Windows PowerShell events, we're just going to be using event ID 4103 and 4104. Once you kind of get doing a little bit more, well, it could be even system admin stuff or blue team type of stuff, kind of will pick up on different types of event IDs that kind of matter towards what you're looking at or what you care about. In this case, in today, we're really focusing on 4103 and 4104. So let's see what we can do here. So we already got the room spun up. We're just going to move over into desktop here. There's this little app. You actually can't see it because my overlay is covering it, but here I'll take the overlay away for a second. Down all the way at the bottom, there's a little tiny app we're going to click on here, which is a full event log view. And you can kind of see that it's loading all these different items, and you see that it is a whole bunch of different types of events. It's all categorized by event time, record ID. Remember, we're caring about 4103 and 4104. And then different types of event levels, information, error, critical, different type of stuff like that. So if you're kind of doing this from an administrative perspective and not necessarily a cybersecurity perspective, a lot of times you just be looking at the higher level stuff to make sure, you know, if things are broken or not. Let's see. And we can kind of click into each of these and it will give us a whole bunch of different types of descriptions of what's going on, other things that are kind of useful here. Since we're just looking at one machine, it's just going to have one computer ID, but if we're correlating a whole bunch of events or logs from different devices, then we'd actually see different computer names here. And then the user that actually ran the particular command. Remember, user might also just be system accounts and not an actual individual user, as you can kind of see with some of that stuff there. So this is great and would be a pain to kind of cycle through this to try to find what we're looking for. So luckily, we're just going to go to advanced options and we're going to use this to kind of search for particular things. So we're only going to show specified event IDs. So it was 4103 and 4104. And then we were going to go, since we know the specific time of when all this bad stuff was happening, then we're going to specify that. And let's see what they wanted us to specify here. So it was 11:10 to 11:12. 11:12, and then the time was 1:52 p.m. Or 1:52, I should say. 1:00:52, and then the same thing on this side. So just 24 hours. 1:00:52. Cool. And if we go and we run this, you see that's loading all these different things down here. And we're kind of getting all of these different types of events. And they should all be matching event IDs 4104 and 4103. And we can kind of see all this stuff. We have 515, which is still a lot, but definitely a lot better than what we were starting with. So we can also specify on particular providers. Let's see if that actually really had. I don't know that we really needed to do that because it looks like everything in here is on PowerShell already. So I don't know that that's necessary. And then there's also keywords that we can do as well. So we'll probably end up using this as we're kind of digging through this a little bit. But if we wanted to add some keywords, we could do that. Just make sure that when you do this, that you end up using the little asterisks with whatever we type in and use it around there. So for instance, if we were going to go PowerShell, we would go like that. And if we end up actually doing multiple words, which you can, remember it's going to match on any of these. So it's not kind of like combining them to make sure you're matching on both of them. It's just if you have a list and it hits on any of that list, then it will come back. Okay. So let's see what they are asking us. We already have this up. We're already doing this. All right. So let me go ahead and we will throw that back on there. So what command was executed as Alf McNeely to add a new user to the machine? So there's a few different things that we can do here. We could look and go based off, since we know the user, we could just go and use that as a search criteria off the bat. So let's just see how this goes. We're gonna go show events. Elf. See if that comes up with anything. Comes up with a lot of stuff that might also be hitting on other things that might also have ELF in it. So that's probably not the best way to do that. Let's see if we could go McNeely. And I guess that's probably going to be, yeah, okay. So we're going to be hitting on everything in there. Okay. So we could go through and we could kind of poke through all this different stuff. It is interesting to note that the create script block text is normally what you see when stuff is actually being used or getting called or typed in, right? And just by looking for that here, we can kind of see that we already might have found something that is kind of interesting here, just based off of some stuff that we're seeing. So we're seeing a function invoke nightmare. That sounds really bad. We already see John Hammond's name here. It's exploiting this CVE. I mean, so it's pretty awesome when the bad guys put a description that tells you which exploit it's using. So what is it doing? It exploits this print nightmare CVE to locally add a new local administrator user with a known password. Optionally, this could be used to execute your own custom DLL to execute any other code as NT system auth. Let's see anything else here. Parameter, new user. So it's going to create this user account. And this is going to be the password it's going to use right here. See if there's anything else that's kind of... It's a little hard to kind of go through this the way that this is laid out. We probably could try and format this a little bit differently, but I think that kind of gets us something kind of interesting. So let's see if that answers anything. So what is the command that was executed to, as Alf McNeely, to add a new user to the machine? So it would be that invoke nightmare. Okay. Now let's see. What user executed the PowerShell file to send the password.txt file from the administrator's desktop to remote server? So we saw that it was going to create this default admin account, right? So we could probably take a look and see if that's something of interest to us. So let's just try doing that. We'll search for this admin account. Okay. And it came up with 79. Let's see if I move this up a little bit. You can maybe be able to see that a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. All right, so it came up with 79 items. So let's go up to the top and see what we got here. So this was the original one that we saw. We're hitting on the fact that that was used there. We can kind of go down command invocation. Just kind of cycling down through here real quick, see if there's any other things that might be of interest there. Let's see what the question was. Who executed the PowerShell file to send the password? We could also search on password.txt as well. So that might be another thing to take a look at that might help narrow this down a little bit. .txt. Let's do that. We're thinking it's going to be the admin one, but yes. Okay, so this makes it a little bit easier to see. So this looks like a script. It's going to get the contents of the password.txt file. There's a key. It looks like this is the key that's being used. It looks like it wants to take each of the characters in the file and encrypt it. So it's going to encrypt the data with that particular key. And then it's going to invoke a web request. So it looks like it's probably going to send the data to this, the encrypted data to this IP address on this port. It's using a post method. Remember, we covered that in the web app stuff as far as when it comes to web applications. A post is what you use to actually send data somewhere. And it's sending, the encrypted data. Then it's going to download an application from a Windows website, sysinternals.com, sdelete. And then it's going to unzip the zip file of that. And it looks like run this sdelete exe. It's going to accept the terms and conditions and then delete the password.txt file. Okay. So that was kind of a lot of different stuff there, but I think the question was who actually did this? And yes, so it was that the admin account that we thought that might have been. So let's see. We'll do that. Admin. Yes. Okay. What is the IP address of the remote server and what was the port used for the remote connection? Well, we actually just kind of saw that when we were looking through here. So it looks like it's going to send it to 10.10.148.96 over port 4321. Yep, 10.10.96 4321. What was the encryption key used to encrypt the contents of the text file sent? It's a good thing that this this log event that we found for this this script here that was typed in has all the information that we need. So it's pretty good. So this was the key. And so we would say that this right here would probably be what that key string is, that J3PN50. Okay. Let's take a look. Yep, J3PN50. What application was used to delete the password.txt file? We kind of already saw that too. Looks like it is that sdelete.exe. And let's see. And next question was, what is the date and time stamp the logs show that the password.txt was deleted? So let's move this over. So we were already, I believe we were already searching on password.txt. So if these are the only events that came in that match these, we have the whole script here. Then we have this command invocation doing that. And then we have the sdelete.exe actually deleting the password.txt. And that looks like it is 7/29/27. Okay. Do that, 7/29/27. And then what were the contents of the deleted password text file? We really don't know anything more than that. So we have the key. I don't think that we've seen any of the actual data, though, that was sent. But we do know that this is the IP address and where that was being sent. So we could search for probably this IP address, or we could search for HTTP. We could do a few different things there to try and find that. So let's see if we can do that. Let's just go HTTP. And hopefully that's not too much. 9. Okay. I only added a few more. So there was a wget to pull down the original script. Here's the script. And here was creating what was actually going on there. So we should have let's see, somewhere where the data is being sent. Yes, invoke web request. This is where it's going. This is the post, and then this is the value. So this would be the encrypted data. Okay, so we have the key and we have the encrypted data. And I think if we go and look on the desktop, there was this decryptor script here, this PowerShell decryptor script that they have. Lucky for us. So we should be able to actually right click on this and run with PowerShell, I think. No. Let's see. Open. Okay, let's see this. So let's populate these with what we know we need. So let's get the key. Enter key here. Paste. Okay, and then enter encrypted text here. Okay, so let's grab that. So we're going to grab all of this within the quotation marks. Okay. And we're going to put that within the quotation marks here. We can save that. Okay. And this should. Did that not? Let's see if there was something that I'm not doing. I don't know why that is not. Let's go edit. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we put that in there. We put that in there. Should be able to just run script. There we go. Okay, so it ran it, and it gives us this output of mission control : let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And so I guess that was the password to be able to get into that mission control app. Let's go back and let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. That is it. So that was it for the PowershElLF magic day 23. I think I only have one more room that I haven't filmed yet, and that's going to be this post exploitation room. This looks like this will be pretty good as well, dealing with some password hashing and NTLM hashes and stuff like that. So that should be pretty fun. So any questions before we wrap this up? If not, I appreciate everybody dropping in. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, all that good stuff. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and yeah, we'll chat soon. All right.